standing. Hello, hello, and thanks for joining. Let's start with a plumb line. So let's have the feet hip distance apart, toes pointing forward, roll the shoulders back and down. And let's just start by finding a bit of length in the tailbone. So slight tilt, and then roll the shoulders back and down. Now we're going to think, yesterday we were talking about balance using the muscles front and back of the body. Let's just think about how we use the muscles front and back of our torso. So with one hand, with the fingers on the fleshy bits, just above the crest of the hips. If you start to feel really tall, to keep that pelvic tilt and start to lean back, at a certain point you'll feel somewhere along here your core muscles kicking in to stop you falling over. Same goes if we place the hands on the back, still really tall, kind of more like a weeble, starting to fall forwards, feel the weight into the toes. You'll feel those muscles kick in at the back. So plumb line, we want to be somewhere in the middle where we're engaging both the front and the back of the body. So from a nice tall position, again, always fleeting on about the head, keeping the chin back. So let's feel our plumb line, the tallest we can be, and we'll move on to the head. So arms nice and heavy. Drop the right hip to the right shoulder, and let's just brush across the chest. Draw that semicircle. Keep the jaw soft. And once more back in the opposite direction. Coming center. Lift the shoulders up to the ears to support the neck. Drop the head back. And then massage the back of the neck by taking small arc movements with the head. Moving on to the shoulders, internally rotate the shoulders so we stretch the back of the body. Chin can come to the chest, and then standing tall, lifting the shoulders up to the ears, a little squeeze, flip the palms to face upwards, open wide across the chest, thumbs reaching the wall behind, and completing that circle with the shoulders. Again, chin to chest, rounding forward, stretch the back of the body. Lift the shoulders up to the ears, lift, flip the palms up and squeeze the shoulder blades together, back and down. Last time, chin to chest, round. Maybe the backs of the hands come together. Lifting up to the shoulders, maybe a bigger circle this time. Flip the palms to face upwards, stretch open wide, and shoulders back and down. Lovely. We're going to hold the knees for a moment. So toes are pointing forwards, we've got that nice alignment in the hips, knees, ankles, and just start to take a bending movement into the knees and straightening. So you might find a bit of clicking initially, but part of what we're doing is creating a nice alignment, good repetitive quality movements with the knees tracking over the toes. If you've not got any niggles in the knees and this already feels really nice, you can start to take a kind of waterfall movement of stretching overhead and bending the knees and straightening up. If we're warming up the knees a little bit more slowly, you just feel a little bit of a bend and a stretch in the knees. Also touching and rubbing the knees, our brains thinking about how we can support the knees, and we're connecting, or we have a heightened awareness of the muscles all around the knees. So a slight knee nourishing focus throughout today's practice. So you can take that movement if you're squeezing and rubbing around the knees, take it above and below and the backs of the knees. If you're taking a bigger movement and you feel ready, we can be a little bit more energetic with this, breathing in and breathing out. So we're really increasing the oxygen around the body. So wherever you are, start to add on a spine extension. So if you were just working on the knees, take a moment to lift the arms overhead. A little bit of a back bend with the focus on lengthening up through the spine rather than bending backwards. And let's take the legs wide. Feet, toes pointing forwards. We're going to take lateral flexion of the spine. Find that pelvic tilt, shoulders back and down. And let's start by sliding to the side. Feeling length, breathe into these left lungs. And breathing out to return. Breathe in, extend and bend. Keep the top shoulder stacked and return. If you feel secure here, we can take the hands, fingers lightly holding the head back in line with the back of the pelvis, and we take the movement side to side. Again, we're thinking about nice deep breaths. Every time we come center, feeling that a little bit longer. And nice deep breaths in and out of the nose. And go right to the end of that exhalation. So we pull in the core muscles. Remember when we're going front and backwards in that rocking movement, feeling that engagement in the core. Final progression, lifting the arms, windmill side to side. So we've taken flexion, extension of the spine here, lateral flexion. The last of all will be our twist, rotation of the spine. So let's have the arms out in front of you. Take a movement to the side, reach for the side wall, and then down to the ankle. Come center and round, rolling up through the spine. So we'll take the side to side, a twist, a reach, a fold, and a roll up. Be a nice deep breath, slow, controlled movement. So we're warming up the back of the legs and taking this twisting action, which is just great for spine health. We'll last set here and then we'll pause to hold the opposite ankle. Every time we come up to standing, shoulders back and down, and lengthen, fold, and then let's hold on to the left ankle and allow that slightly deeper stretch into the back of the legs. Let the head bow down, weight into the head, softening. Now, try not to lock out the knees. If anything, a gentle bend in the knees. If it's very tight down the backs of the legs, give the calf muscles, the hamstring muscles a good squeeze. You want to find softening, not forcing to fold. If you're comfortable-ish here, keep the right hand on the ankle and lift that left arm. So we deepen the rotation of the spine. We want to avoid collapsing into the shoulders, so really reach for the ceiling. And you may even get an inner thigh stretch on that right leg. Lovely. Lower the hand, walk across to the right ankle and bow the head and pause here for a moment. So again, no locking of the knee, giving the backs of the legs time to soften and release. If we've got any knee niggles, we may start to find tension building up in the calf, the hamstrings, the quads, everything trying to support the knee. So good to give it a good opportunity to lengthen. Opportunity here to deepen the twist and lift the top arm, but to feel no obligation, just go at your pace. All right, come center, soften the knees, roll up through the spine, head last to come up if you're not already there. Side to side, extended side angle with the tension to the knee. So let's lift the right ball of the foot and turn from the hips so we're not twisting the knee. Place the foot and take your extended side angle. Bottom's tilted, a little bit of a hip flexor stretch, reach into the fingers. Deep breath, feel that stretch down the whole of the left side of the body, I'm mirroring you. And then coming up, again, straighten, lift the ball of the foot and turn the whole leg forward. So the side, lift the toes, turn the foot, toes forward, pointing to the side wall, and take your extended side angle this side. So by squeezing the glutes, tilting the pelvis, we should be getting a little bit of a hip flexor release here, and mainly stretch down the side of the body. Try to avoid collapsing forwards. Feel the length right into the fingertips. So let's see if we can take that side to side, lifting up, lift the ball of the foot, the whole of the leg, adjust, ball of the foot up, place, and side. So here you go at a pace that you feel you are in control of the position of the leg. Waking up the sides of the body, there'll be more of this later on. Let's have one more set each side. feet are slipping on the floor, I'll end up doing the splits. Last side, so remember, lift the toes, turn the femur, the whole of the leg, so you're not twisting or pulling on any of those muscles of the knees, and then release. We're going to take the feet together, and we're going to come into a pyramid stretch, and actually this is the last thing I'm going to do standing up. There's a lot of mat work today. So let's step your right leg forwards, tilt the pelvis, and we'll start with a hip flexor stretch. So with your right leg forwards, toes forwards, hips square to the front, tilt the pelvis, and let's work with the hip flexors initially. Stretch the arm overhead, and take a small side bend without losing that pelvic tilt. Breathe into the hip flexors, stretch into the fingertips. Now if you want a slightly deeper stretch, you can lift the back heel and get more of a pelvic tilt. We're pausing here for one more breath. And then release the arm down. We're coming into a pyramid fold, hands on the hips, shoulders back and down. Take a deep breath here. As you breathe out, fold. It's very deep hamstring stretch here. We're pausing to hold the knee, guide it into a bend, and then straighten up. Now I'm going to progress. If you've got a knee niggle, stick with that. Otherwise, arms into nice big cactus. We come into a flat back fold. We bend the knee, scoop. Now press, particularly the heel of the foot into the floor. Lift both legs straight, cactus arms. So whole body working. Scooping the abs in into a fold, the knee bends, tracking over the toes, scoop the arms up, heel pressed into the floor. Now this is important. Every time we come up standing, reset, shoulders back and down, legs straight. If we bend the knee, it's pressing the heel down which stabilizes the knee. So just be aware that we want to press the heel in, lifting, all the time straightening up here, squaring everything up to the front, elbows into the waist. Let's have two more like this. So we're taking it nice and slowly, creating that nice quality repetitive movement in the knee, tracking over the toes. We're using a balanced support of muscles. Otherwise, we're taking it a little bit more energetically. Lifting shoulders back and down, cactus arms. Last time. Fold, bend, scoop, and lift. Okay, we've got the other leg to go. So let's switch over. Square up the hips to the front, shoulders square to the front. Hip flexor stretch initially. To the leg that's back, lift the corresponding arm. Tilt the pelvis until you get a stretch in the front of the hip. And breathe. We can add a little bit of side bend here. And remember, you can always lift the back heel if you feel stable and that's not loading on the back knee in a negative way. So finding enough of a pelvic tilt that we're breathing some life and space into the front of the hip. And adding on that lateral flexion just for maximum release into the hip flexors. You want to breathe here. We're here for roughly 3 breaths. That's the average that we need to override that stretch reflex and just allow everything to melt, to lengthen, soften. All right, let's take care of this front knee. So bending, the knees tracking over the toes. So we're going to have the hands on the hips. Initially take a flat back, make sure the kneecaps pointing forwards, the toes are pointing forwards. Soften the knee and then back up to standing. If you're already there, we take the full, nice big breath, fold, flat back, scooping and pressing the heel into the floor. What we want to do is avoid excessive wavering of that knee. So a flat back fold, the knee, you can check it's charging over the toes. We reach all the way forwards, the heel presses down. Let's just make sure that we're switching on the stabilizing muscles on both sides of the knee. So below and above. So right down to the ankle, we're just getting all the muscles working in tandem by pressing the heel down. Cactus arms, so you feel the tops of the shoulder blades, mid shoulder blades, lower shoulder blades, and we always square to the front in that lifted position. Last couple of reps here, and then we're coming down to the mat for the rest of the session. Brilliant. So we're combining hamstring stretch, nice repetitive bending of the knee, a little bit of a hip flexor release here, working those postural muscles across the chest, strengthening the back, using the core, because whilst we're pressing into the heel of the foot, it's also the core muscles, whether we're particularly aware of it or not, that are helping to lift the body. Let's make this the last one, and then we're rolling down to the mat. Reach, stretch, tilt the pelvis, shoulders back and down, and then lightly take the feet together. Give the knees and the quads a bit of a rub. We're coming down to the mat, so take a nice slow roll down, chin to chest. And let's meet on the mat. So once your hands have found the floor, bending the knees, I'm going to give you 3 options for the position of the feet, the legs. So I want you to feel really upright in the body. So we can either take a very wide Baddha Konasana position with the soles of the feet together, knees lightly out wide, a nice big gap here. We're going to be stirring the pot and take a few movements in the upper body. Option to have the legs parallel. So if you've got knee niggles, we'll maybe want to work in this position. And for those who are more flexible, legs wide. You can try different ones, but remember you've got those 3 options. I'll toggle between all 3. So let's start by interlacing the fingers. Working into the waist, and we're taking a circling movement. So let's go for maybe 6 in each direction. I want to feel like we're rolling on, if the pelvis was a circle, rolling all the way around the rim of the pelvis. So keep the jaw soft, but strong clasp between the hands, so the arms are active, and we're working the muscles of the waist by making that movement nice and big. And let's change direction. If you can, match a phase of this circle with a phase of the breath. So maybe breathing in as the hands come across the chest, and breathing out to swoop and fold. You know, we like to multitask, so we've got that switch to the parasympathetic nervous system by working movement with breath. Great. Let's soften the shoulders, side to side, hand to the floor, reach over. Breathe in center, breathe out into a side bend. Every time we come up center, feeling a little bit taller. Then we'll go for roughly 6 sets, and then we're going to take a twist. Go right to the end of the exhalation, tummy button back to the spine. So this is where sitting in Baddha Konasana with the knees bent, it's sometimes a little bit easier to sit up tall. But I know if you've got a little bit of a niggle in the knees, this might not be right for you. All right, we're going to take a twist. So take a breath in here and twist to the side, hands to the floor, and bow the head, empty lungs. Breathe in center, over to the other side. Breathe out and twist. You should feel this in your obliques. Breathe in, twist, and out. It's quite a simple movement, but because we're moving continuously, you might start to feel a little bit warmer quite quickly. So try to focus on the side of your waist that you're bending over, and feel a crunch and a squeeze contraction to take the head a little bit lower. Last set on these twists. And don't forget, you can change the position of the legs to being straight parallel out in front of you, or in that wide-legged position. Brilliant. All right, we're going to take the legs out in front of you anyway now. Legs out into the toes. See if you can not move the ankle, but just the toes. You breathe in, curl the toes up to your face. As you breathe out, spread the toes, curl the toes, and crunch the toes without moving the ankles. You might get a bit of cramp here. Breathe in, and again, spread the toes. Toes up to the face. Breathe out, crunch and curl. Empty the lungs, go right to the end of that breath. Again, breathe in and lift the toes. Breathe out, spread, curl, and crunch. Now with the feet, the whole of the foot, breathe in, heels to the front edge of your mat, toes to your face, firing up the front of the legs, breathing out, press the toes forward. So we're working in that nice plumb line position of the legs. So again, it's that nice quality, repetitive movement. So the Pilates you want to think about as if we're clearing a path through a forest. Nice, controlled, good quality movements, engaging all the right muscles for a nice, balanced, strong movement. Last time, toes forward, stretch the fronts of the feet, the fronts of the legs, engage, squeeze the glutes. Last time, curling up to the face. Next, breathe in, opening from the hip, little toes to the floor. Breathe out, stack one foot on top of the other and press them together, squeeze the glutes. Open wide as you breathe in, stack the other foot on top. Press that push-pull action in the feet. So we're strengthening the muscles of the whole leg, which in turn then will support the knee. And again, moving with the breath. Squeeze. Last set. Breathe in to open, legs wide. In that open, externally rotated position. Stack and press. Right. We're moving on where we'll start to feel a little bit in the core. We're going to breathe in, siphoning one knee in, lengthen the spine, and as you breathe out, check the knees over the toes, the toes pointing up to the ceiling. Breathe out, stretch the leg and return. Breathe in, let's stick with the same leg. In, lengthen. Breathing out, straightening the leg and lower and go right to the end of that exhalation. We're using the arm muscles to breathe in, pull in, but the legs resisting. And breathing out, stretching and returning. Two more on this leg. Breathing in. We're using the posture muscles, squeeze the shoulder blades together. We're working a little bit of flexibility to the back of the leg, but we're using the resistance of the hands. Let's have one last one on this side. Breathe in, lengthen the spine. Breathing out, extend and lower other leg. Breathing in, draw in. Let's have the toes so pointing up to the ceiling, chest wide open, press into the heel to lower down. So throughout adding resistance, the back of the thigh and the webbed finger, the interlaced fingers, really pressing against each other and extend and lower down. You work more intensely just by gripping, squeezing every muscle available to you. Keep lengthening up through the spine. It can help breathing out of kind of pursed lips. So yogis will probably stick to breathing in and out of the nose. The Pilates practitioners amongst you, you may want to switch to breathing out of the mouth through pursed lips, just to give you the same effect almost as the Ujjayi breath, the ocean breath. Amazing. Just take a moment to let the legs, hips, knees, ankles, toes all soften out. We're coming onto our backs for leg slides, and there'll be an option to make it a little bit more intense. So when you're ready, we take a slow roll down to the mat. Briefly hug the knees into the chest. Now for your leg slides, we're working in those nice track lines to support the knees. So let's have the feet on the floor, knees bent. Find that pelvic tilt, engage the core, weight into one leg and floating the other leg into an extension using your core muscles. Scoop in the abs, press into the heel of that bent foot leg and lift the active leg and return. We take the same to the other side. So weight into your other foot, lightly skim the floor as we extend the leg, scoop in the abs, load onto those core muscles, up to the ceiling, bend and return. So it's almost like a reverse cycling action, side to side. Now, for anyone who wants to work a little bit more intensely, we can lift the head, neck and shoulders, but do support the head. Take the weight of the head in the hands. So we're adding on six-pack muscles here. So in the extended position, we lift, and we've just got a deeper curl up. Further progression, you can float both legs, maybe even tabletop. So finding that reverse cycling action, scooping in the abs and returning. Skim, extend, scoop, lift and return. So throughout, let's keep those front ribs knitted together. The tummy button, not just back to the spine. Let's start to think about the lift in the pelvic floor. So all that powerhouse all switched on. Make sure you're not gritting the teeth. Nice soft jaw. I'm already starting to shake. So the more tightly you pull in the core, the quicker you'll feel those core muscles working. The nice thing about lifting the head, neck and shoulders is we have a good vantage point for checking the alignment of the hip, knee and ankle. So a nice, steady, slow movement. And throughout, there's no arching in the back. We'll keep that imprint, tummy button back to the spine. All the time, we've got a nice, long back of the neck. I want to avoid lifting and curling the shoulders, nice and wide open elbows. Let's make the next our last set. So you can afford to push yourself. Maybe the knees come a little bit further away, loading onto the core, lifting as you scoop. And last side. Imprint the lower spine. Slow lift. And then hug the knees into the chest. Have a little rock on the spine. We're going to take a resisted clam. So when you're ready, roll onto one side. Knees out in front of you. Hold the head. And we're adding resistance with our hands. So lift the feet. Feet are stacked. Press against the knee as we breathe in and open. Resist. Breathe out. Clam closes. Tummy button back to the spine. Feel a length. Spine. So lots of checkpoints here. We can press the feet together to add more resistance. We tilt the pelvis so the bottom isn't sticking out. As soon as we come to a neutral spine with that pelvic tilt, it's much easier to engage those core muscles and everything is more supported. Again, checking that we're not clenching the face muscles, the jaw. So to support the knees, we want to strengthen the muscles outside and inside. So adding on a little bit of resistance and taking it slow enough we can move with the breath. So breathe in to open and breathe out, resist. One more like this, and then we'll move specifically onto the inner thigh of the lower leg. So it doesn't matter which leg you're on, we'll be doing exactly the same in just a moment. Squeeze, 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 and then rest. Stretch the lower leg, toes pointing forward. So the same thing, we want a nice plumb line position, the kneecap and the toes pointing forwards. Tilt the pelvis, engage the core, lift the leg up high, and you add some resistance. And we've just got 10 pulses. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You did it. We're over to the other side for that resisted clam. And off we go. Lift the feet, press the feet together, breathe in and open, squeeze, breathe out and close. Again, breathe in, you're nearly there, and close. Go right to the end of the breath, breathe in, fill the lungs, through the expansion of the ribs, but pull in core, breathe out, the clam closes, tummy bottom back to the spine, that corset around the waist, pull right in. Deep breath. Last two. You've got 10 pulses, and then we've got a very quick stretch, really quick. And your last 2 minutes. And squeeze, clam, close, lower leg. Again, inner thigh, it's all about supporting the knee today. So kneecap and toes pointing forwards, tilt the pelvis, add some resistance, lift high, and it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Amazing. Bend the knees. We're just going to windscreen wipe the knee side to side. Drop the knees. Breathe in, center, breathe out on the side. Breathe in, center and side. Great, great, great. You've done it. All right, come to a comfortable seated position. Take a deep breath in, reach the arms overhead, look up, lengthen through the spine. And breathe out, shoulders back and down. Let's think about the head, bringing it along with the back of the pelvis, keep the chin back. Breathe in and reach, climb, and breathe out, floating the arms down, elbows into the waist. Shake out the head, and you can clap if you wish, because you've done it. And